Okay, in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at setting up the hand controls inside of this control so we can get some secondary animation and controls of like the curl and the spread of the fingers. So we're just going to do a simple setup to show you guys how it works, and then you can go crazy however you'd like. So what I'm going to do is say hide all the other channels except the IKFK blend, because that's the only thing we're going to be working with here, and then we're going to add more. So let's go ahead and add attribute, and what we will call this is, let's call it index curl. So that's going to be the curl for the index finger. We'll say minimum is -10, maximum 10, and the default is 0. And then I will click add. I have a second monitor, so I'm just going to shift this over to the other side right now, just so that we can work with this, and then when we need it, we can come back and bring it over here. Okay, so what we want to do is basically have this curl control these three controls here, and when we go in the positive direction, we will curl the finger up this way. When we go in the negative direction, we will curl it up this way. And let's show the visibility of the joints so we can see a little bit more clearly what is happening. So we got 1, 2, and 3 controls, and then we will rotate it and we'll get a finger curl like this. So in the positive direction, we'll kind of open up, and in the negative direction, we will close it down. Okay, so basically what we're going to be doing is setting set-driven keys onto the objects, but we don't want to have it directly done onto the control themselves. So if we expand this on the outliner, just pushing F, we can see that we created a zero group, which basically keeps all the rotations and translate values from its original position. Then we have an offset group, so we can actually animate this offset group here and move the controls themselves without actually affecting the control there, but everything moves with it. So that's what we're going to end up setting the attributes to. So, and if we needed to, you can have multiple offset groups underneath it. I just have one in this situation, but you guys can go crazy and add as many as you want to have as many variations of the hand set up as you'd like. Okay, so we're going to go to the animation menu set, go to key, and inside of key, we're going to go to set driven key and click on the option box next to set. So for the driven, we're going to have the offset group for all three of these. Let's load driven, and we can see that we get all three of those. And for the driver, we're going to select this control here and load driver. We have the index curl. So if we go here, we would adjust that value, and it will adjust all of these values here on the offset group. So if we select the offset group there, we're going to want to rotate Z. So right now for the default position, this is going to be set at 0, and all of these will be set at 0 for rotate Z. So I'm going to go index curl, rotate Z, key, and go here, rotate Z, key, here, rotate Z, key. And we have a keyframe set for the default position for all three of those controls. Now here, let's go to the negative direction, -10. And I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to select all three of them. Curl it in like that. I'm going to go a little bit further than what I would normally do, so that way we have more range. And then I'm going to set a key, and that should keep all of these here together. We can test it by going back to the hand control. And we can see that it has the closing attribute. Now we want to go into the positive direction. Select all of these controls. And we're going to move it kind of back like that. Again, much further than what I would normally be animating to, but that gives us a range if we needed to. And then we can key. So if we go back to this hand control, we can see if we go both ways, we can control the curl of this finger here with this attribute. And then we can add more. Usually I like to keep all the curls together. So let's do one more curl, and I have the tool here. And let's do middle curl. Minimum is -10, and maximum is +10. So I'll go add, and let's just add all of these right now. Ring curl, -10 and 10. Add. Then we have pinky curl, minimum of -10 and 10. Add. And then thumb curl, and we have a value of -10 and 10. Okay, so now we have all the curls. The cool thing about this is if we select them here and middle mouse button click and drag, we can change all of them at the same time. So what I'm going to do is maybe do the middle finger, another example, so that you guys can see the whole process again, and then I'll do the rest off screen so that way you guys can not have too much repetitive action for the finger curl here, because it's all essentially the same thing. So we're going to keep the hand curl here. Let's collapse all the controls for the control section, and I am going to select the middle finger controls here. Push F on the outliner to open them all up to that section, and then we have the middle offset groups. So 1, 2, 3. Load driven. And then let's double check over here. On this one we have all of the controls set to 0, so that's great. So here I'm going to go to rotate Z, key, key, and key. Then I can go to -10, go to all of these, then rotate them to the close position. And something that might be kind of useful is to take the controls here and set it to -10, so that way we can see where the other fingers are already, and then do that here as well. So now I can take this and make sure that the closed hand looks right when comparing it with the other fingers, that they're going the same amount. Okay, so then I can key. Then let's take all of this and expand it the other way. You can see that the index finger went, but the middle did not. Uh-oh. So I did notice something here. I'm adjusting just the index finger, and I accidentally keyed it onto the index finger. So that's something that you'll want to watch out for. I don't remember if I switched it or not correctly, but if you need to, what you can do is make sure that you go to your default position 0, select the middle offset groups, right click here, delete selected. That should clear the keyframes that you have set on that. Then you can go back in and key it. So I'm going to go to the middle curl, key. So that's the default position. Go to -10. Over here, go to these controls, set the rotate, curl it to the point where it looks natural to the clenched index finger, somewhere around there, and then key, and let's go to the positive direction, select the rotate here, that's about right, and then key, and then we can double check all of this. Here, both fingers move together just fine, and since we did see that I did accidentally do it once with just the on the wrong control, I'm just going to select the middle finger control here and test it by itself. That is working the way we would expect it to. So then we can move on to the next finger. So I'm going to do that for the next 3 fingers, and we'll see you in a moment.